Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be breaking down and talking about serious topic involving the Olympic qualifier. Now we know that Adeliia Petrosyan has qualified for the Olympics, and there's a whole channel called Katok where 5 of the Russian figure skaters or people that are involved in skating sit around a table and discuss the topic. The topic was about the qualifier. We had Daniel Gleinjauz as the guest, and he was discussing about Adeliia Petrosyan. Now, this recording is before Adeliia Petrosyan's qualification. And so we are going to discuss the possible way of her feeling the Olympic pressure. It says it's the first season for Russians to skate internationally, which they chose. Daniel Gleinjauz and the whole of the Adeliia camp have chosen a tactic of silence, meaning that they're not giving interviews out for Adeliia Petrosyan's program. They're not posting anything on social media. They don't want the attention to be on Adeliia Petrosyan. Now, they were talking about why did they choose the 2 programs, older programs, and that was the 2 best suited, the most strength, the character that Adeliia Petrosyan chose, that she was the most confident in. Now, they chose the 2 older programs because they believed that more stability in that way, because of course going into that Olympics you are going to be feeling a lot of nerves, and the best steps that you can do is what your body is going to be reacting. You can't really physically work with the head, and it's going to be a huge, colossal responsibility for Adeliia.
В этом выпуске шоу. Давайте к делу. Аделья Петросян и почему ей оставили программы?
Ну, на самом деле, по Аделье Петросян мы выбрали такую тактику тишины. Мы практически сейчас не даем интервью по поводу Адельи, она не дает интервью, мы не рассказываем о подготовке и так далее. Поэтому все, что я могу сказать, мы выбрали 2 лучшие программы из тех, которые мы ставили, и которые больше всего, по нашему мнению, легли на Адельи, в которых она была органична. Поэтому это скорее такой тактический ход, учитывая, что никто на международной арене вживую не видел ни одну из ее программ. А, как мы знаем, люди в олимпийский сезон возвращали свои лучшие постановки, даже их катая весь цикл. Возьмем Дюзуру Ханю, Нейтана Чена и так далее. Поэтому в данном случае мы показываем миру 2 абсолютно новые программы.
As we know, Gleinjauz, her choreographer, will not be present in the qualifier. He wasn't allowed to skate for some reasons. He wasn't allowed to go, but there might be confirmation there's something to do with the Valieva case. But we know that Adeliia has joined Adeliia Petrosyan. In some way or another, they might be misjudging Adelia's program when she does and respond coldly, because they're older programs, but essentially it will be newer programs to an international audience. Although she skated them before, but they were domestically competition, she hasn't been seen doing it internationally. And of course, this is going to be the first competition internationally over 4 years that the judges are going to judge the performance, and so that score that Adeliia Petrosyan was used to in Russian domestic competitions will be significantly different from the judges from international competitions. We don't know how they will be able to judge. Will they judge more coldly? Will they not? Of course, there is expectation and also some sort of...
Как я это вижу. Вот смотрите, вот прошлая Олимпиада, позапрошлая Олимпиада, сейчас говорим про женскую. Выходили катать короткую программу Алина Загитова, Женя Медведева, потом мы берем там Камилу, Аню, Сашу. Да. Они выходили с расчетом на то, что если они выполняют свою программу, они занимают 1-е, 2-е место. Ну, кто-то из них занимает 1-е, 2-е место. Все понимали, если они что-то сорвут, они там куда-то могут улететь. Но по сути, при хорошем катании они точно все понимают, потому что есть баллы по сезону, есть понимание, есть рейтинг, они катаются в последних разминках, все понятно. Здесь как не откатается, что, не знаю, Аделья, что Петя, вероятность занять после короткой программы 1-е место практически нулевая.
To be so emotionally difficult for Adeliia Petrosyan, and there's a hope but also a way that Russian athletes are not welcomed and they are not waiting for the Russians to come back to competitions. People want to show them and prove them that they're better than having them around, so they don't know if they're going to be responded to warmly. And then there's another side. If the Russians do come back, there might be some fear, there might be some competition. I mean, the Russians do preserve a huge rivalry, and people need to really step up to their levels. It's the fact that only one athlete is chosen per category of girls and boys. We're not talking about ice shows, pairs skating. It's going to be more difficult. For the qualifier, it needs to be top 5 tickets to be won for the Olympic Games, and so hopefully they do make it through. Daniel says that the previous Olympics, the 2 Olympics, Medvedevas, Alina's, Sasha, Camila's, Anya's, they knew perfectly well that their program, if they performed clean, they would be first, second or third. But in here, there is an open score. They haven't competed yet internationally, so you don't know what the judges are looking for, you don't know kind of what your program level is in terms of the international field. And so even if Adeliia Petrosyan skates clean, she might not end up being first place. So there's a huge kind of boost in understanding that anything can really happen in the Olympics. So it would definitely be much harder, especially in the short program where a lot of the international girls right now can do the triple axels and that. And so you need to end up being first place, and then for your free program, you kind of have to have chances of also winning. But to put it in perspective, Daniel Gleinjauz says that realistically for Adeliia Petrosyan to just go out from international competition and win first gold might not be a possibility, because the judges will say, well, you haven't competed in Europeans and World Championships. You haven't really proven yourself to be that Olympic champion. So there's definitely a lot of a human factor.
Хорошо. Настя, приехал на чемпионат мира, помнишь, в Ванкувере, предолимпийский чемпионат мира. Я приехал выигрывать квалификация.
Так.
Я занимаю 6-е место в группе, в итоге 12-й. Вот, пожалуйста. И я вот так вышел, я не
выиграл.
Я еле-еле до серебра дотянул. Женя Плющенко тогда выиграл. Ну вот я 6-й в своей группе, соответственно, я 12-й. Я даже не в сильнейшей разминке на короткую программу.
Ну,
вот просто что-то произошло.
У вас тогда были такие времена, что у вас программа полегче.
There's also worry of Adeliia Petrosyan saying that she is worried about her body changes and puberty, and that Daniel said that they're really trying to work on that, and there has been a recent case study of her being really injured and not doing quad jumps a lot, so there was a possibility of her being replaced by Alina Gorbachova. But Daniel Gleinjauz says there's always a path, especially for the Olympics. There's some sort of road that you have to pass through to be able to accomplish being the champion, the work that needs to be done. And they're going to be definitely coming out with some sort of series, some sort of documentary about Adeliia Petrosyan's preparation. In terms of Petr Gumennik, we know that Adeliia has said that he's the choreographer of his short and free program, and he said so far, looking at him, he's in really good form, speed, execution is clean. They are worried more for Petr Gumennik than Adeliia Petrosyan. The reason being is because Adeliia Petrosyan has not a lot of competition. She can rise up to the top. In Russia, the females dominate a lot, whereas in male skating, we've got Ilya, which also is the fan favorite, the Olympic champion, maybe in the eyes of everybody. He has proven himself internationally, so we don't know specifically for the males. He has much harder chances. People are doing quads and even attempting some.
Что, в общем, уровень этого турнира не очень серьезный, но у девочек посерьезнее.
Нет, это очень большая разница. Реально, у мальчиков, правда.
Ну,
Тут я не буду изображать из себя там жертву, но у мальчиков, правда, нету соперников. У Пети здесь он может прокатать с облегченным даже набором и занять первое место, скорее всего. Поэтому здесь, да.
Мне кажется,
у девочек
просто
состав посильнее. И Настя Губанова и Луна Хендрикс, чемпионки Европы. Я не помню, Луна выиграла уже, нет?
По-моему, да.
Да,
Если мне
по-моему.
память
Да.
не изменяет.
Ну, не суть.
В золотом платье, напомню, нет?
В любом случае, что касается компонентов, мы не знаем, получим ли мы компоненты выше, чем Луна или Настя.
Ну,
Это-
Луну
мы
любит
этого
очень,
не
это сложнее
знаем.
будет, да.
Плюс там есть еще девочки, если не ошибаюсь. Там и японка, и кореянка, и еще кто-то есть. У девочек состав посильнее. И здесь не как угодно. Здесь надо нормально выступить.
Of course, there isn't any talk about maybe a possibility not qualifying for the Olympics at all. They need to be top 5 to qualify, and Adelia's main competition is Luna Hendricks, and Piotr's is currently nobody in the qualifier because the ones that are have already qualified for the Olympics. So they're quite soft on Piotr, but they're kind of more worried with Adeliia in terms of the qualifier. There's also a possibility, always says that anything can happen near the qualifier. Yegordian said that whenever he qualified for the Olympics, he was terrible, he was so rubbish. It was just that day he didn't know what it was. And when it came down to it, he became the silver medalist in the Olympics. So he said that anything is possible on that day. You don't know what's going to happen. As we know that Alina Gorbachova is the reserve, she is respectfully trained with Rosanov in France for a program as in choreography-wise, and right now she's in Beijing just training, learning and adapting. She's not replacing Adeliia Petrosyan, but she's just there for support and for looking for the competition. She is ready, but some people say that it's quite a shame that she's not performing because when you are being a spare, that's being a reserve, you kind of miss out your opportunity even though you're training, you are ready, but that opportunity with your peak form, you don't get to compete at the end of the day. Moving on to Elena Kostler's mum, where she has a whole scandal with Plushenko, her and Elena. Elena is such a talented girl, but it's her mum is so difficult to deal with. And she was at Team Tbilisi at first and then transitioned to Plushenko. But the reason for her transition is because she was such a difficult parent to manage. The coach and the parent just didn't align with anything, and it was really difficult because the girl was so talented. But ultimately, Daniel Gleinjauz says that he chooses his happy coaching times and would rather train a less talented kid, but a parent that is in the same line, has the same vision, and does not interrupt the process, but rather that than a difficult mum with a very talented.
У мамы Лены Костылевой и Евгения Плющенко, в силу того, что, насколько я понимаю, она была против того, что ее отстраняют от тренировок, потому что у Лены травма, а Евгений ее отстранял, дабы она не травмировалась еще сильнее. Потом там были вопросы о том, что Лену Евгений забрал домой на перерыв, чтобы она отдохнула, как я поняла, у них дома. Мама была против. Ну, то есть вот такие. На самом деле для детского фигурного катания это обычные вещи, обычные вопросы. Просто здесь это все на показ. Да.
Определенный уже опыт тренерский, особенно он больше у Этери Георгиевны, но и мне за 10 лет его хватает как бы. Ты приходишь на работу так каждый день, много лет подряд. Ты как-никак, но хочешь чуть-чуть хотя бы получать удовольствие от процесса, которым ты занимаешься. И если в твоей тренерской карьере попадается очень талантливый ребенок, но его родитель совсем перегибает планку, которую у вас в группе поставлена и так далее, ты выбираешь свое счастливое тренерство, а не результат с этим спортсменом.
Это мудро.
Все.
And so guys, this was ultimately a wrap up. This was a discussion prior to the Olympic qualifier. What will happen, we don't know. The Olympics are approaching soon. Daniel Gleinjauz says that in some way this seems like an opportunity, in some way definitely a way for Adeliia Petrosyan to be able to really experience the international stage right before the Olympics. She will meet the judges, they will see her, she'll be able to work, find a good score internationally, and then she will be able to work on what her placement is even on the ranks. And so that way she will be able to know moving forward to the Olympics. Now guys, just imagine if she does win the Olympics. That will be the first time in history that an athlete that hasn't competed internationally goes straight to the Olympics, wins gold, and proves history wrong, and all the challenges that Russian figure skaters and even athletes right now that face so much discrimination, even though they truly haven't done anything. It's all about politics in sport nowadays, and the athletes have to suffer. But we will definitely see what will happen in the Olympics. Remember, the Olympics are never smooth. There's something always happening, something that just doesn't go always to plan. And even Daniel Gleinjauz says that they've never experienced a very smooth and a very calming Olympics. It was always quite stressful. There's high emotions. There's a lot of stress. But we will see, guys, what will happen. Comment down below if you think Adeliia Petrosyan will become the Olympic champion. Do you think she'll fight against all the odds? Do you think that she'll be able to nail everything, prove that Russia is deserving to go to these Olympics, and after that maybe be allowed back into the international stage? What do you guys think? Do you think Petr Gumennik will also maybe place, maybe even win the gold medal against Adeliia? If so, guys, who do you think deserves the gold medal? Let me know your predictions down below. I'll be happy reading the comments and finding out, and we will soon get an update. I really hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, please give it a like, subscribe, comment down below, and I will see you in my next video. Mwah.